You can take me off if you want, or whatever you got to do.
Hello, everybody, and we are live. Thank you for joining us on Wednesday Night Fish Talk. Tonight, special guest is the man, the myth, the legend, the mad Aquarius. How you doing tonight?
I don't think I'm going to live up to literally any of those things other than my name.
Hello, everybody. We got Don. How you doing, Don? Raph, how you doing, Raph? Raph actually is from the Gold Coast Aquarium Society.
Yep. Well, Don Gallagher, I was speaking with Don Gallagher today. He's in Arizona. We were talking about, he's getting me some footage of rattlesnakes. And Zenin lives up in Canada with me. He lives near Hamilton, Ontario, I believe.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, Zenin. We got PB. PB's another buddy of mine. He's down here in Florida, too. He's in Palm Beach County.
Yeah, it sounds really freezing down there.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible. So
I'm just only gonna have one beer today.
do what you do. We got Fishy Biz. What's cracking? The Midwest in the house. So I wanted to bring you on because you do more than just fish. You actually do reptiles, and you actually have a farm. How big is your farm you have up there in Canada?
I don't know if I'd call it a farm. Basically, it's city people that my wife about 6 years ago said one day, we should sell our house, which was almost paid for. We should move to the country and own 5 chickens. It was an exact number of chickens. It wasn't, let's just go and do this and have fun. No, it was 5 specific chickens. And that snowballed. And then we had goats, and we got rid of the goats. We had all sorts. It's crazy. Now we only do Highland cattle. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but they're a Scottish cattle, and they got the long flowing red hair and the big horns. And we do a rare breed of pigs from New Zealand, and both of them are tolerant for our climate. But the reason I mention that, and that's all we'll talk about farm stuff tonight, is on my channel, I started introducing all the farm stuff whenever in the summertime. That's a lot of work that happens in doing that. It takes me away from doing fish stuff or whatever. So I started adding that content to the channel. And anytime I release a fish video, thumbs up, everything's great, lots of comments, everything's good. I release a farm video, I may as well just put a video of me brushing my teeth. Almost nobody cares. So I'm going to just take all the farm stuff. We're going to start a separate farm channel, but we're not doing that until spring. Now, The other aspect of your point about that I do all sorts of other things. I do reptiles and the isopods and plants. Well, that was always the intention. It was more of nature focused because that's my background is mostly botany and plants. But the real reason that you're seeing a big change and more of a push of a lot of that stuff right now, honestly, is because of the pandemic. And you're in Florida. You can go anywhere you want, anywhere in the States. You can go anywhere you want if you wanted to. You can also ship anything you want anywhere you want in the States. In Canada, we don't have that option. My local wholesaler, through the whole pandemic, the most airports he's been able to access for tropical fish in the world has been 3. That's the most. And sometimes it was only 1, but the most it's ever been is 3. And that's Brazil, that's Colombia, and that's Miami. Because if he lived in Toronto or if we lived in Vancouver, I could access anything I wanted because the planes are coming in. The Canadian airlines, the Canadian cargo carriers will not touch any outbound cargo originating from outside of the country. So basically, fish for me dried up really, really fast to access. So I started thinking about, and because when you do YouTube like yourself, you can't plan just next Tuesday's video. You have to plan the Tuesday after that, the Tuesday after that. What am I going to be doing in 3 months, 6 months, 8 months? You kind of have to plan long-term for things. And I started thinking about if this is going to go on longer, fish-wise, I'm going to be in a real strain to do anything. If I can't access actual fish, what am I supposed to put content on? Right? People are going to get tired of looking at this gorgeous specimen once in a while. So that's why I started adding things that are facets of my life. Reptiles, but not just reptiles. Most of the stuff that I won't just do a video on a bearded dragon. It'll be some aspect that's unique, or there will be some science behind why I will do that video on that bearded dragon. I haven't yet, but I have some ideas of things that I want to accomplish. And most of the reptiles, the plants, or even the bugs and the stuff, there's always like either an element of danger or something really unique about them. You know, it'd be very hard for me to talk about my grandma's begonia. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to talk about it. But if I tell you about this plant that if you lick the leaf, you're going to die, all of a sudden there's a story that can be told, right? And my background being plants, that's where it kind of came out. But I have the same problem with, unless if I release a fish video, because my channel is called The Mad Aquarist, I get everything's great. Everybody loves it. Thumbs up. Everything's good. I release a houseplant video. It's like you can hear crickets for that video. You may as well just put crickets in the background. But the difference being is I didn't set up my channel. I've never, ever set up my channel or my content to be like, I want to be one of those massive channels. I want to sit back, easy street, drive a Ferrari. You know, like, that's not what we do YouTube for. I set it up long term. You know, I have a lot of friends that do YouTube. And I see some of them that, you know, they do videos on their 6 tanks. And that's all they have. And I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do once you've kind of run the gambit of those 6 tanks, those 6 fish, and redecorating those tanks. You know, like, to me, I'm looking at 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road. What can I do different? You know, that's where I come from. Now, you can do the rest of the time. I don't have anything else.
Oh no, I'm gonna have you talking all night. You be ready. Now, what got me into your channel was actually the isopods.
Yep.
I was blown away because to me it's like a big giant cockroach, and I'm like, what is this guy doing with these things? So it brought me to your channel, but man, I'll be real with you, I was grossed out. I was like, these things just look like giant cockroaches. Like,
well, you're going to be really grossed out soon, because I've just done some pretty massive investments into my channel in regards to the technology of how I produce videos, how I do everything. Right now, like, I'm literally sitting. This is the only tank that has fish in it. There's one tank in my fish room, which is over there. This is the only tank that has fish. This is literally in the middle of my family room in the basement. Behind it, I'm going to raise it just so you guys can see it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it because of the light. Behind it is the pool table. You can't see because it's dark. But behind it is the pool table with absolutely everything that came out of the fish room. The fish room I'm gutting. I'm doing the flooring right now. I got to order the lumber tomorrow. I've made all the specs for all the cut sheets for all the stands. And it's going to be a very, when it's, I'm not going to reveal anything until it's finished. And then when I do that first video, everyone's going to be like, wow, like, there's a whole focus. But I'm building that entire room around all the stuff I've been doing for the better part of 2 years. All going to be a part of it, except for the farm stuff. But it's going to be done in a very different way, a different setting. And I'm taking inspiration from some really good YouTubers that I inspire. Inspire me in regards to the way they release their content, the integrity they put into their content. But like you say, you were grossed out by that stuff. This is my you can't see it. It sits here off to the side. This is my new camera body, and this is my big 105 macro lens. I can take those isopods, which would fit on a thumbnail, and I could zoom right in and show you and do a video on that sort of stuff. So if you're grossed out now, there might be elements that your audience and yourself may not want to see, but I have a lot of stuff planned. But the macro, getting that real super close and showing it in a good video was always the one challenge I couldn't do. So it's coming. It'll get there.
But it was grossed out in a good way. It was very curious. I never actually knew people kept them. I didn't know. And after I started watching your channel, I seen that there's a big community of people that actually do isopods.
Yeah, they're all crazy.
Oh yeah.
But the reason I got into isopods though wasn't I fell into it. I did a video, and if people want to go back and look at older videos, I did a video with a good friend of mine. His name is Dan Fryer, and he was actually one of my customers, and he owned a pet store. And when we were setting up his store, me and him started talking, and we had a lot of things that were in common from years ago in regards to the animals we kept. And in the back room, he was actually the animal control officer for a certain area of rural country, and he also kept venomous snakes. So we hit it off very, very well. And I still call him a very good friend today, even though he doesn't live here. He lives somewhere else. But he kept cobras and rattlesnakes and all this stuff in this small lockdown little room. And it was super cool. We released a couple of videos. But the thing that started the isopod thing is every one of his reptile enclosures, he ran them as what's called bioactive. So he put microfauna, he put springtails, isopods, mealworms, all sorts of micro little invertebrates and stuff into the substrates of his environment. And they broke down everything that the environment produced. So when you're dealing with something like a cobra, you don't want to go and every single morning have to go and change its water dish, risking the chance of you getting killed.
Oh, yeah.
If you only had to do that, or you had a way of doing it that was a lot safer, or having to only clean up the environment a lot less. The less times you go into that cage, the better for you, the safer for you, right? Every single time you open that door, you put yourself at risk. So he was doing these things all bioactive, and it was something that I'd heard about it, but it was when I did the dangerous stuff, the reptiles back in the day on a large scale, nobody did bioactive. I'd never even heard of it. So I was being the scientist, I was totally intrigued by it, and that's where it all started. So, and by starting that, I kind of found out some people that were kind of local to me, and they kind of the name of the company is Species Canada. They're very dear friends. I went down there and I ordered 3 types of isopods, and I went down there and they had like 60 types of isopods, and they were every sexy color you can imagine, little to big. Like, it was crazy eye-opening experience, and I filmed it all. I did a whole pile of stuff, linked a few videos on it, and that was a downhill spiral from then on. But when it comes to isopods, I'm not one of those guys that wants more and more and more and more. I only want to have a certain amount of species that I enjoy, that have an aspect that I could tell a story on, and there's other things I can tell down the road as they grow and do things. I don't just need more and more and more and multiple of all these different types. I know the isopod collectors, they want more, and they want to have 60, 70, 80, 100 things. In the new room, right now I have 22 tubs with isopods. In the new developed room, I have space for 32. I do not necessarily want 32, and I have 32 spots allocated for the exact bins I'll be using. That I can, maybe I'll double up some. I don't know. I have no idea. It's all room for.
We got Aquafunk, Eric Fab, Canada. Woohoo!
Oh yeah, Eric is the first person to comment on every single video I do. He's a wonderful young man. And that's what he puts every single day on every video. That's the comment. He's never said anything more than Canada woo, ever.
Canada woo. Funk says he had a pet copperhead in the closet for a week before he knew what it was when he was young.
That's good. Funk Jason just went up a little notch in my book. That's good, Jason. That's good. Like, to me, I'm only baby steps away from keeping venomous. I kept venomous, and it won't show up on camera, but maybe it will. I don't know if people can see the massive scar.
Oh yeah.
This whole hand was rebuilt. It was from compartment syndrome. When you get bite, that's not the bite. The bite was a little tiny bite on the end of my pinky from small rattlesnake. And compartment syndrome is your hand just starts, after you get envenomated, it just starts swelling in a crazy amount. I look like that Michelin guy, the puffy guy, Marshmallow Man, or whatever. And my fingers were so puffed apart, they were cracking, and they were black and bubbly, and it was disgusting. But if they didn't cut me open and relieve the pressure, I would have lost my arm. So, wow. But I would keep a copperhead in a heartbeat. If I could find a nice southern copperhead with the very clear bands, or if I could find a Trans-Pecos copperhead with those bright yellow bands, I would be on that in a heartbeat. But because I have kids now and I have 4 daughters, I will not, and I'm saying this on camera, I'm saying this in a live, I've said it before, I will not keep a venomous animal that could be potentially life-threatening. If it's something that if I get envenomated, like I have a really dangerous spider here to my right on my desk. It's an Indian ornamental. Right from that it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna suck for about 2 weeks. That is about my limit. but I also don't have to get bit. I can work with that safely, right? Catch cups and stuff. Copperhead, yeah, that's going to screw you up for a few days. You're going to have a few really bad days. That's okay. It won't kill me. I'm good.
Wow, you kept
all the bald
crazy
eagles.
animals.
Just tell Jason that all the bald eagles that he's looking for are in a drawer in a lab in Regina, Saskatchewan. He can try and get it.
Now, how long have you been actually keeping fish?
I started keeping fish. Ever since we had a fish tank in the den when I was a kid. So my earliest memories of of an aquarium and my father with gardening and all those types of things. That was the inspiration. So as much as my earliest memories are a fish tank. It was only a 10-gallon tank from like Woco or whatever the crappy department store was 25 or 50 plus years ago. Whatever it was then. It was a 10 or 20-gallon tank, and that was a huge tank by those standards then. And it had the basic extras, and it had the little box with the floss and the charcoal and all that stuff, And then years later, we got that modern filter, that under gravel filter. It was pretty slick.
It's coming back. It's coming back. Now, what do you have in that tank behind you?
This the reason this tank is here. This is the fish room right now. I have 3 tanks that have fish in them, and the only reason there's only 3 tanks that have fish in them is I'm only going to have so many tanks in what's called the room or the lair, and then right out here to my left is a 12-foot space. That's where the big tank's being built. I can't lie. We honestly bought this house, and I made a frame out of 2x4s. That would be basically if I bought a piece of glass to build the proper big tank that I wanted to build, I built a wooden frame as if the glass came in a crate, and I brought the frame down the stairs to make sure that I could get that piece of glass into the house before we signed to buy the house. And we developed it. It was all just concrete. I don't even know if people know it. Do you know what a basement is? You don't have basements.
Yeah, I know what a basement is. Yeah. We don't have them in Florida, but I know what it is.
Yeah. Well, for the people that don't know, we have an entire floor that's below the ground here in Canada, and other areas have them too, and that's where everything is. So if you have a 1,000 square foot home, you have a 2,000 square foot home because you have a whole other level. But when we bought the house, it was a completely undeveloped concrete basement, and I basically developed everything with my builder around putting in a big aquarium. Now, at my old house, I had a 750-gallon tank. It was 8 feet by 4 feet front to back, and I think it was 3 feet tall, whatever it was. And it was like 21 years old before I took the chainsaw to it. Never an issue. And then the new house, we always have to be bigger, right? That's what we do. You can't just go from that to bigger. Even if it's only 750, it's still bigger. But I built a space that's 12 feet. And I'm going to build a tank. I've kind of drawn it out. I've kind of priced out the lumber, which you guys have no concept of how expensive lumber is in Canada. Even though we sell it all to you, our lumber is insane. But I'm building a 12-foot by 6-foot front to back, and I'm just not sold on the height yet. I could go 3 feet, but more than likely the tank will be 3 feet, but the glass will be probably 30, 32. And it'll be about 1,700 gallons by the time it's done. And then I'm going to raise it about 3 feet off the ground, and then all the space underneath, because I'm an old dude. I don't want to be like the whole fish room changes, big tank. The whole idea of rolling around in crawl spaces and all that stuff just doesn't appeal to me. So I'm going to build a big custom filter underneath the tank. 3 feet is a lot of room. I can sit down and work in there. It's easy to work with. But it also, for doing YouTube, it's a real awesome background once it's done. But you asked about this tank, and what this is here is this is the buffalo head tank. Now, if anybody's seen that video, or I don't know if you have moderators, they want to throw up a video on my channel that's called Where the Buffaloes Roam. This particular tank has 5 buffalo heads in it, Sciatocranus cassurius, the little West African, the very common in the trade buffalo head. But this particular group is offspring from many, many generations from a dear friend that passed away that he got offspring from me in the late 80s. These are direct descendants of the fish that I gave him in the late 80s. And if you imported African blockhead, Steatocranus, buffalo head, bump head cichlids, whatever you want to call them, back in the late 70s, early 80s, they were very, very challenging to keep alive because they came from class 5 rapids. They were extremely high oxygenation, and they were a little bit more aggressive than the ones that you'd find in the shade today. Today, you can keep things in one of those tanks behind you. They look like, what, 20 longs, 15s? The tanks behind you. You can keep buffalo heads in there with a clay pot and a sponge filter, and they'd breed no problem. Back in the day, you definitely could do that. So that's what's behind me. And the only other thing that's in here, and none of them show up because I said the light was on a timer and it's been off for hours. And then for this thing, just because I don't have anywhere else to go, I put the light on it. I'm freaked out. But the only other fish that are in here besides them is a big colony of Montezuma swordtail, the true Montezuma swordtail, the one that gets the really big sword. I did a video on it. But they're here, and the only reason I kept them is they're a group of fish that I want to raise up to be the dither fish in the 12-foot tank.
Now, Fishy Biz asked a question. He wants to know, what's your all-time favorite cichlid?
My all-time favorite, sorry, you broke up there.
What's your all-time favorite cichlid?
Oh, man, I don't know. That's really tough. There's different elements for me, and the reason I say that is if it's going to be Biggs, the guy that wants to be in the lab, dissecting fish, playing with fish, that sort of stuff on the science side, then it's easy for me to say my absolute hands down favorite fish, but in Florida you can't have this fish, it's illegal, would be tilapia buttacopperi. And I believe it's not tilapia anymore. It's been revised. But it's a massive, it used to be sold as poor man's fronto, so it gets to be like 16, 18 inches. It's a true molluscivore. It has a dental plate for crushing snails. And the reason I love that fish so much is because it was about 13 years of study for me with working on those little tiny dental plates in the back of the throats of cichlids that are known as pharyngeal mills or pharyngeal plates. If you were to hand me that little tiny bony structure of any cichlid, I could give you its clear, basically dietary components of its lifestyle based on that, because all the different dentition changes depending on the type of species or what it eats. And that one there was really cool because it had massive molar structures all over its dental plate. It's a little tiny triangle in the back of their throat. And that's what makes cichlids modern fishes, is they can go and bite their food source, whatever it is, a plant or a fish, bring it into their buccal cavity, into their mouth, and then swim away while they process it. Guppies can't do that. Betas can't do that. A lot of fish cannot do that. There's gulp in some catfish, but they don't process it. They can swallow it whole. Cichlids actually process on that dental plate and break it down before they swallow it. And that's a very cool feature of what makes a cichlid a cichlid. Now, I don't know if I answered your question, but my heart otherwise would be all in Central American cichlids. And cichlids, not just Central American cichlids, but I can't narrow it down to one specific group because there's vieja, big giant water cows, and everybody knows I call them water cows. There's the big giant herbivorous species from Central America. I love all of them. I love the Thrixies, or the beautiful little sand sifters and the vertebrate pickers. But I think my heart would probably be stuck with all the really, really rheophilic or fastwater species. Species all over the world of cichlids and other species that live in fast water, just like these guys do. So you got cichlids from Africa, you got some from Central America, you got them from South America. They're anywhere there's going to be fast water. There's going to be fish that live there. They're very challenging to catch, and they're very challenging to keep.
Now, you talking about cichlids. You had a chance to go to, might mess up his name.
Dan Shreeve.
Weso Fish House.
Oh yeah, Rusty. Rusty's a very
good.
That's
how you say his name.
I've known Rusty for 30 years. I've stayed at his place. I've spoken at his club a few times, and I've also stayed at his place multiple times. But the Fish House video that you just saw that came out a week or so ago or whatever, that's been in my backlog of stuff that I haven't released. Because if I go to Florida, for example, say I go out and speak at a club in Florida, Well, I'll go for a week. No club will take care of this and that and stuff, but I'll take all the other stuff and I will tour around and I'll see fish rooms, botanical gardens, random stuff in the wild. I'll come back with a treasure trove of content that I will send out periodically because I don't want to go all of a sudden come back, big back, here's a travel log, here's everything we did. Boom. I just can't do that. It's got to be fish and plants and isopods and bugs and tarantulas and dangerous stuff, and it's got to be variety. So I switched it all up. That video from Rusty's place, that's from a year past August. I've already released the koi pond video. I've already released the video of the bamboo. I've released a bunch of these different types of videos over the while, but the fish house one I never released, and the reason I never released it is Rusty's a dear friend, and like as I say, he's been a friend for a long time. He's stayed here with us. He's spoken in Manitoba probably half a dozen times. He's a very, very dear friend. And when I went down there, I literally just phoned him up and I said, I got to come down. What's the best time of year for me to come down to do video and pictures of your fish? And he said, August. So I flew down for August and I spent a week. He worked. He went to work each day. I just stayed there and I just did stuff. That's why you'll notice he's not in most of the videos. He's not there because he was at work. But also, there's other angle to it. The reason I didn't release it is every time he gets anybody that does a video on his fish house, because he's such a big name and because he has such an impressive collection, all these people start sending him private messages, people he's never heard of, asking for fish. That's the whole way people work today. Like all of a sudden somebody posts a picture on Facebook on their phone, and all of a sudden I start sending him a private message. Hey, I'd like to get some fry from you. The guy's never heard of you before. And he absolutely hates that. So I was very hesitant to release it. But the thing that I knew I could do different is I went on YouTube and I typed in Rusty Wessel Fish House. And I challenge every single person that's watching this tonight or people that watch it down the road to type in Rusty Wessel Fish House and watch all the videos that other YouTubers have done. And I challenge them to watch those and then watch mine. And the difference being is a lot of them, they might be there to see his house, or they flew there to see his house, but they might not be a cichlid guy, or they might not know him really well. They might not know his fish really well. The difference being, I know every fish in his house intimately. So I can walk through the fish, the location, how it works, how it lives, what it does, what it eats. I can go through detail after detail after detail. And I'd like to think, and that's up for the viewers to decide, I'd like to think that the video I produced on Rusty Wessel Fish House was the best representation of his house out of all the other ones that wrote. And that's no shot at any other creator whatsoever. It's not intended to be that way at all.
I agree, because when I have seen his house before, other people have shown his house, and I've always been impressed on, the setup and how he has everything there. But what I enjoyed about your video, you broke down more information. I actually learned some stuff. I never knew he had a secret name after him. It wasn't to sound selfish. It was just the fact that that's why I watched all those videos. I wanted to see what they did well, and I wanted to see what they did poorly. I know every single YouTuber or anybody that's ever going to film at Rusty's house is going to have massive challenges filming, because the entire place is glass and it's in windows everywhere, and you have sky everywhere, and there's no lights on any of the tanks. Good luck. It's a horrible thing to try and do footage. Walk around with your phone. I'm going to see this entire white thing the entire time. You're never going to get away from it. It's horrible to film or even take pictures there. And I've done that as well. And I've got, the big cameras and all that stuff. It's a horrible place for doing that. But to walk around there and just enjoy the fish, especially when you can be left there for 6-8 hours on your own, it's paradise on earth. Now we got a question. Eric Fab asks, favorite killifish?
Easy. It's so easy for me. When I've kept killifish, and I've delved into that dark closet many times, I do not have a lot of interest in the top spawning killies. That's all your Amphisimian, Apocalyptes, Epiplades, all those type of killies that live on the surface and spawn daily in the plants. Not my thing. I'm not saying they're not cool. They're all super cool. That's not my thing. I like the ones that like to roll around in the little jar of peat moss, and then you take the mud out, and then you dry it, put it away 3 months, 6 months, depending on species. And then you bring it back, and then you add water, and then instant fish appear. So if I were to go that route, the species that I would say would be my dead set, all right, without hands down favorite is kind of a spawner. It can breed both ways, but I've always bred it using mud, and that would be Fungal Panchexia snedii. It's the blue Galaris, the standard Niger Delta one. It's actually the flagship fish for the American Fish Association. It's the most well known, but it's also a Achille that's going to get to be, I don't know, everything's backwards on camera. It's going to be about a 4 to 5 inch fish. It'll take down earthworms. Like it's not like a little bit of brine shrimp. It's super fast growing. It's a cool Achille. And any Achille keeper knows what that is.
Oh, yeah. Funk said he must be nuts leaving you in his house by yourself.
I've got so many random compromising photos. I've got like family photos stored in my hard drives of things, little nuggets, like Rusty when he was 7. You're like little nuggets you can just pull up one day in a talk, public talk in front of 230 intimate people. No problem. Hey, if we can't have fun.
His favorite tank is the toilet tank.
Yeah,
now is that toilet functional?
It's a full aquarium in the back of the toilet tank. All the apparatus for the toilet is totally separate from the thing. It's not like they're draining the tank and giving it a water. But it's not a most practical tank. It's not a paradise fish, but it's something along that lines. He has some sort of antibiotic. It does have a little bubbler filter and stuff, but it's a pretty primitive system. It's definitely, that's my favorite tank, but when you go out in the room, and the whole room is fully automated, it's all massive tanks, and the whole house mimics nature, which a lot of people didn't know. That entire house follows the natural path, temperature and light, as what it would be in the wild for most of those species.
Now, how is it actually being there looking at those fish? Because the way he has it set up, like he says, with a natural light, and it's hard to film, but it has to be amazing actually walking around and looking at these fish in these environments that he has set, because like you said, he does it really to nature. Well,
it's absolutely. I'm pouring right now because I'm running out of beer because my little tiny beer glass, which is bigger than my head. But I don't want to sound as a negative to anybody out there, but the people that are here will know exactly what I'm talking about. I absolutely despise going on social media and seeing all these pictures of these insanely juiced fish, and people going, "Oh no, I just shot it with my iPhone or my Sony camera. That's just what it looks like." Bullshit. I'm sorry. If the clay flower pot behind your pair of fish looks like it belongs on the Vegas Strip at night, you altered the photo. I don't care if altering the photo just means touching that little magic wand on your iPhone at the corner, but it's still enhanced. And it's always really, really good when people post something on social media and they'll post a picture of the fish that they've totally photoshopped. They've spent an hour or two photoshopping it, adjusting it, and they don't have any knowledge of how to do it properly. They just make it look like insanely colorful. And then they post a video of the same pair of fish breeding, and they're vastly different. I love when that happens. They go, "Oh no, they're both nasty. I shot it with my camera." But the reason before I say that, when you go to Rusty's place, there's no lights on the tanks. So you're not getting the Hagen or Flugel aqua glow with the purple bulb. You're not getting any of that fake shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but you're not getting any of that. You're getting 100% natural sunlight. And an overcast day, it's a little bit different, but the light is still in that natural spectrum. It's nothing fake about it. You cannot lie against sunlight. And when you show the pictures of the fish, when they're breeding, like you take a big Vieja Bifasciatus Rio Chacamax and it starts breeding, that thing looks like it was painted by a child. It's all primary colors and stuff. It's outstanding. You can't fake that. But you give that to somebody in a tank with their little purple bulb and their little blue bulb and all that sort of thing. They take their picture, and hit the little enhance arrow at the top. All of a sudden, this thing screams fuchsia color. Like it's not doesn't look like that. It never will look like that. But everybody on the internet's going, ooh, I think that's amazing. I love that. Okay, buy fry from it. See how well that works out for you. There's a well-known guy, well-known, but he's been somewhat, and I apologize. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl because I don't know. There's somebody out there that has the Parachromis motaguense. Do you know what that fish is? It's like a jaguar. It's a predator, a cruise predator from Central America. But the females get that beautiful orange throat and the males don't. It's a really stunning, stunning fish. But there's a guy out there who has a certain named line of fish. And he posts pictures, or she, I don't know, posts pictures everywhere of this fish. And everyone's going, ooh, on. And he sold thousands and thousands of osprey. None of the osprey have ever looked like the parents. Weird, eh? Must be the food. Must be must be something else. Must be the atmosphere where you live. The elevation. Like, it's clearly not the fact that I photoshopped every single picture of those fish or video. Like, I can take any video I want with my phone or any video I want with this, and I can run it through the program and edit it any way that I want. What benefit does that serve? Nothing. It makes it look faked. And that's where, like Rusty's place, everything looks beautiful and natural. You just can't get better than that.
Now, Funk wants to know what's the future holds for your channel. What's the future for your channel?
Well, I don't know if I can answer him because Funk's being a jerk like you were. He's calling it Mad Aquarius. What is with you guys and not knowing how to spell? I have no idea.
Florida thing.
It's a Florida, Mad Aquarius. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm not a constellation. You got it spelled right on the screen. My name there. So, hey, Funk, if you want to ask the question, you have to type it again, but look at the spelling under my name, under my picture there, and I'll answer it. Well, I don't know what holds for anything.
While we give them a minute to type that, there was another video that you released recently that I was watching about the giant leaf-tailed chameleons.
Geckos. The geckos. Europlatus giganteus.
Oh, that's what they were.
Those, again,
I was trying to remember that name.
Where I got all the isopods from. Species Canada. They phoned me up. They've actually launched a YouTube channel. I don't know if you have a moderator or not, but if a moderator wants to put down a YouTube channel link for Species Canada, they're a young couple. I'm talking they're in their late 20s, early 30s. They're absolutely an absolute treasure for us in Canada for what this couple brings to the hobby. Super passionate. Isopods, extremely obscure lizards and snake species. The one snake I did a video on, does it smell like licorice or something like that, was a super obscure African black snake. But it's really venomous. It's related to the boom slang. But like when they shed, their skin smells like black licorice. Like the whole building smells like black licorice. It's weird. But all that stuff all been filmed with them. So when they phoned me up and said, hey, we got something really, really cool, you're going to want to come see this, I went down there right away, and that's what it was. We were unloading those. But I've had all that footage for, I'm guessing, 4 or 5 months. And because Canada's Manitoba, not Canada, Manitoba's been such a lockdown, I haven't even been able to see them for 6 months, maybe even longer. I have no new isopods, no nothing, no footage, no nothing new. It's just what it is. But I wanted to release that as a testament to the really cool stuff that they do. That's a really large, I don't know how to make it on the screen, but I'm going to guess that animal will probably get 13, 14 inches in size. It's a big, big lizard, and it'll eat big prey. And in Canada, if you're in the States, it's no big deal. You can breed cockroaches, or you can go harvest them yourself. But like in Canada, all cockroach species are illegal, so you cannot cultivate them. So it makes it very expensive to feed a big animal like that. Thanks, Funk. That's great. Yeah, that's the channel. They just started a YouTube channel. They only have 2 videos out. But you'll get an idea as they start putting out more content. You'll get an idea of all the animals they have. Hopefully, they'll put out more content in the videos and stuff that we're talking about.
Now, what's all the reptiles you have right now that you're keeping?
I have no reptiles at all right now. None.
No reptiles.
I have no reptiles at all. I will. I have plans. I have reptiles that are coming. I have some reptiles that are coming from wild caught from, I think it's Indonesia or Malaysia. I don't know. There's reptiles coming, but I don't have anything right now. Nothing. I have a absolute, I don't want to say a swear, but I have a lot of tarantulas. I have several really, really bad, meaning ouchie, ouchie bad scorpions. I have one that's about to give birth right away. I haven't even done a video on him. She's about to give birth. And I'm like, I have no concept of what I'm supposed to do. When all of a sudden I have, instead of 2, I've got 70. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with that. I got all sorts of crazy stuff. Whip scorpion, all sorts of stuff. But I don't have any reptiles right now. No. I will down the road dabble in stuff. The one reptile I would love to have again, but I just don't think I can ever pull the trigger because the volume on them would be the tokay gecko. And they're so near and dear to my heart. I actually have it tattooed on my arm here. I've had it forever on me, etched in my skin. But the problem with tokay geckos is they get their name from yelling. And the scream that they yell at night, conveniently, sounds like tokay. If you might type in tokay gecko sounds on your own, you'll get the idea of what it is. And the only reason I do that is my fish room is directly below my master bedroom. And my wife goes to bed at like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And you know damn well what's going to happen is those things are going to start calling out. They're going to start screaming. And we have a 4-year-old. We still have a baby monitor for the 4-year-old if she ever has a nightmare or wakes up or something. So we kind of get a precursor. But once she's, past the whole waking up phase, we don't need the thing. So I don't think I want to have a couple of lizards in the basement all of a sudden start yelling. Hey, she told me I wasn't allowed to have crickets. I wasn't allowed to have crickets, but I got crickets in the house now too. So
Fishy Biz want to know how many tats you have.
Well, the way I look at it is if they're connected in any way, even if one little line touches the next one, well, then I only have, I don't know, like half a dozen. I don't know. My body is covered. Like I'm literally covered. But my back is all outlined, but we've never gone and redone it. And then he changed his mind. And then we changed it. Now I have the Emperor from Star Wars. I have him about this big in the middle of my back, and I'll be 51 this year. I have zero intention of ever finishing my back. It sucks. I'm not tattooing anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. It's not going to happen. I do have the ideas of I don't have a lot of usable space anymore. Some spaces like this, but the whole back of my head, both sides of my head, underneath my throat, like I've run out of spaces. Good space. If he's never had a tattoo, and I don't know if he has or not, but if you've never had a tattoo, guys generally get their first tattoo on their shoulder or here, and it's all good. Women really often get their tattoo on their ribs or on the back of their shoulder, because women, the musculature is different. My ribs are never going to fit. They're never going to get finished, ever. Unless I'm in a car accident and I'm in a coma, and my wife says, okay, let's finish up all this crappy tattoo work, and gets the guy down at the hospital. There's no way it's happening, ever. I'm too old.
Yeah, getting too old for tattoo.
I got so much random crap on me now. Like I was the guy that has so many friends in the tattoo industry that when they got somebody new and they was an apprentice and they were learning, I was the first person that person would be able to tattoo. And if it was crap, well, the friends of mine would then cover it up with something else down the road. And it didn't matter. I've got a lot of horrible garbage on me, but I also have a lot. To me, I spent most of my life in the industry with music and all that sort of stuff. So I know the tattoos would be a part of it. And do I have tattoos that have a lot of real personal sentimental memory? Yeah, I have all my daughters on me. I have a lot of very special tattoos. This is one in particular. I don't even know how to show you, but this is one we can talk about it. It's super. I don't even know how to show it to you. But I have a lot of crap on it. But honestly, it comes down to the point that I was hanging out with friends. They said, what do you want to do? I have no idea. Let's do something stupid. We did that. And it doesn't matter what the actual tattoo is. It's that story of that time in your life. What are you going to do?
True. Yep.
I don't care. Do a math problem. I don't care.
Now, I guess Funk didn't want to retype the question, so I'm gonna ask you in a little different way. What type of fish you want to bring into the fish room when you get it done?
Oh, that's a different way. Sure. Okay. Well, if the world's back to some sort of normal and the world starts shitting the bed, the 12-foot aquarium, I fully intend it to be a somewhat riverine environment. That's my intention for it. And I have some very dear friends that have some very special fish put aside for me already that are wild caught that anybody in the world would be coveting. So I'm very, very lucky and fortunate that I have such amazing people. But we're only talking like in a 1,600 gallon tank. We're only talking about like 12 inhabitants. So like I still have a ton of room to work with. As for other fish that'll go in that mix, I don't really know yet. I would like to add some sort of I'll try the Montezuma. The problem with the Montezumas in that real fat in the current, I don't know how well they'll do. They need some sort of shelter to keep them away from it. But what I might put in there would be some cadaids of some type. You know what cadaids are? Xenotoka, Dons, or something like that. Something that, there'll be a live bear, but it's a bit of a tougher live bear. In the room itself, I have some really, really cool stuff that's going to happen once the room's finished. And it won't be finished when I start showing this stuff, but it'll get there. But I have a 120-gallon planted tank. And I don't want to bust the secrets out of what's going to happen. But that is the one tank in the entire room that is covering it's taking so much planning because it's just something that's out there of what I want to accomplish with it. And that one is going to be a fully planted tank. It's way beyond a fully planted tank. And I'm not certain what I want to put in there. My heart is kind of leaning towards the exact opposite of what people would expect. And I'm thinking maybe doing like a giant school of cardinals or something like that. But I don't know. As for what else will be in the room at the initial stage, there's only going to be 260-gallon tanks otherwise. One of them is going to be dedicated for 100% for West African riverine. It's going to be these guys in there. It's going to be dedicated as a real fillic. Like I want to try and really amp up the water volume and movement in the tank for those guys, but then whatever else I can pull into that tank with them. There's a really, really cool hemichromis species that's been out only recently. And I can't think of the name. Somebody in the chat might know the name, but it's one of the jewel cichlids. There's a brand new one that came out only about a year or two. It replicates and breeds on the same level as all the other hemichromis or jewel cichlids. But this thing, screaming red, a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more peaceful than all the other terrors. But it's an outstanding fish, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. That's a candidate. Some different types of cribs or something like that. Maybe some rheophilic stuff like Gramma. Nice big school of Phenacogrammus or something, some Congo tetras or something. But a true representation of what you'd find in kind of a fast water African stream without going and throwing like a Goliath tiger fish into the mix. I don't have any intentions of giant. The other 160-gallon tank in the room, I'm not certain what it'll be, but right now I have probably half a dozen really obscure Central American cichlids in it right now, and I have no intentions of necessarily getting rid of them. It's just that's what I have right now. And in the planted tank, I have a super rare bright yellow species of convict type from Panama in the tank, and they breed like crazy. And there's a video coming out, I think it comes out on Thursday, the video of what's changing and what's happening because of those stupid fish. And the other fish that are in that tank are going to be going to a farm. So as do I have plans for other fish coming in right away? I don't, because nothing's available to me. When the world opens up, I want to do a lot of weird stuff. I've never done a saltwater tank. It's never interested me. However, I've worked with saltwater on a large scale. I fully understand the basics of it, working in the retail trade. But a blue ring octopus, a real true peacock mantis shrimp, some of the different vampire crabs, maybe a paludarium type setup or something, things like that. Things that are a little bit different, things that are a little bit out there, but things that I can tell a story behind. There's something I'm missing. Maybe there's something you guys. I'd like Biggs to do that. I don't know.
Fancy guppies. You got to do some fancy guppies.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
You said you're gonna You said you're gonna do things that people don't expect you to do. Nobody expects you to have fancy guppies.
Well, I'll buy fancy guppies at the auction when the club meetings start up again, but I'm just going to feed them to something. I've gone to. I was at a convention. I think it was in Washington D.C. I think it was in Washington, D.C. I know I wasn't speaking at this convention. I think it was a catfish convention, one of the big catfish conventions that was in D.C. I've been like 3 or 4 times. And I think I was there. That's Eric is talking about the Hemichromis Exo. That's the one I was talking about. Yes, he's right. The one that's on the screen there. It's 100% the one I was talking about. It's a little bit more peaceful. But I was at the convention in Washington, D.C., and unbeknownst to me, it's in that area, there's a really strong killifish group. Now, I was a real hardcore Central American, real big bruiser kind of guy at the time, fish. And I'm here and I'm sitting there and I've had, 20, 30 drinks or whatever it is on whatever night of the convention it is. And all the old timers, of which I would be in that category now, are getting together in one room in the hotel to have a killifish auction. It's the gathering of their killifish group. It is the once a time a year that all these elders come together and they share their fish with each other and they run an auction. Well, I don't know about anybody else in the group and stuff like that, but generally, if you were to stereotype cichlid keepers, they're generally blue collar. Like if you were to go to an American Cichlid Association convention, the bulk of the crowd will be blue collar Americans, right? Hardworking blue collar people. They love cichlids. They got the aggressive. They got the peaceful. They raise their babies. They've got all those aspects, everything that we love. And they might have started with their first tank with a pair of convex that bred, and that's what hooked them. You go to an American killifish convention, though, you're dealing with the bulk of the people there. They're all way older. They're almost all retired. They're almost all doctors, lawyers, or professionals in general. Most of them are professionals. And this is not intended to be a slight or a negative on any of them. They are exceptional keepers. Killifish is what set the trend for marking. Not only do I have Aphysimium bivitatum, but I have Aphysimium bivitatum from this location with all the location data with the actual geo you know what I'm getting at. The actual spots that you can literally put it into your GPS and it'll take you exactly to that puddle where they found that fish. These guys are exceptionally anal with all those details. They should be. That's important. But these guys also, even though these might be wealthy people, they're all exceptionally cheap. I went there drunk out of my mind, and I walked into this room, and they're doing a live auction. And every single bag of killie is going for like $1, $2, $3 is like a high. Like, holy crap, we're going to clap for that one. It's $3. So I basically, in my obnoxious self, before I did YouTube, I announced to the entire crowd loudly that I would buy every single bag of killies that sold for $5 or less, and I would feed it to cichlids. And they just lost their mind. This guy's insane. This guy's our fish. He's going to kill them. These are the most cherished fish in the world. You can't buy these anywhere else except for here. And this jerk would feed them to cichlids. But the way I look at it is, hey, if Hemichromis Exol showed up in my local club's auction and the world was normal, and it came for auction, and that minute that auctioneer mentioned that bag of that fish, you have two options. It's either one, it's like, oh, it's just another jewel cichlid. Can I get $1? Can I get $1? Can I get $1? Or, as a responsible aquarist, I would suggest I would go $30. It's a super rare species. It's only been imported once or twice. It'll probably end up on the CARES list immediately because of its environment. It's totally deserving of tank space in our houses. Like, why? What, to me, like, I never understood this when I go to clubs and they go like, oh, it's another bag of convict. That's great. Well, Timmy's 8. This is the first time he's come to the club. He just joined. this is his first fish he ever read, and you just treated him like a piece of garbage by telling, oh, it's just another bag of comics. To Timmy, that was the world that introduced him to fish keeping. And that's, to me, is more important than anything else.
A lot of club auctions seems like it goes that way. They really lowball some stuff, and then once in a while something pops up that everybody goes crazy for, but it's rare to see that in clubs. I have that in my experience. I have noticed that. You take fish to clubs and you're not gonna get nowhere near.
Yeah, when I've gone to clubs, then they know me. I'm the guy that shouts out a bid that shuts everything down right away. And I have friends in many clubs. Like I usually go to the Ohio Cichlid Association. Zenon, I don't know if he's still here, but Zenon has gone to the Cichlid Association thing in Ohio almost annually every year. And I've gone to that show, and I will literally sit in the crowd, and there might only be 2 bags in the entire auction that might interest me. But when they come up, I'm like willing to, I can go in my brain and going, I'm willing to go to $60 for that bag of fish, knowing full well that bag might go for 17 if nobody sees it. But if I'm really after that fish and it's worth $60, isn't it really cool that I might go and offer that kind of a price to the buyer? Remember, the club's going to make money off it. The buyer's going to get money out of it. To me, if that's what it's worth, if you're really wanting it, what some people may know, but some people may not, is I'm often brought to the club. I started going out and do speaking long before I did YouTube, long before this. I've actually been thrown out to clubs when they've covered my expenses just to auction. Imagine that. I've been paid to come out, and all they want me to do is speak at the convention. They just want me to auction. And the reason being, every single bag of fish is worth something. I don't care what it is. The guys that show up with the garbage in a bucket, an ice cream bucket, the one massive, unruly looking convict with all the damaged fins, those guys don't count, in my opinion. I'm not sounding like a dick. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But, take the integrity of what you keep and what you do, put it into what you do, and sell it. But nothing more insulting to me than when somebody goes and does all those things that they should and brings it to the meeting and gets a garbage bid for it. Now, so Danny Ken Aquatics just put up there. 10 zebra carriers went for 36 for our last meeting. Now, that's great. That's awesome. I don't know if they bred them. I don't know the story behind it. But the problem being is if they bought that bag of 10 every single meeting for 6 months, eventually that price is going to go from $36 down to like $5, right? And everybody knows that's what happens. Once you kind of hit the market, you saturate the market, you've run out of the market. That's what it is. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Every fish gets its day.
I think those auctions are only good if you're halfway broke and you want to go get fish.
Well, in one regard, that's true. And if you want to stay to the end when everything goes really, really deep because it's so long, definitely.
Oh yeah, I got a pair of bushy nose plecos for $4.
Yeah, but wouldn't you?
If
you were a seller and you were bringing fish to auction and you brought 10 bags and you read all the rules of the club meeting and you said, okay, I brought 10 bags. It means I got to put 1 bag on table 1, 1 bag on table 2, 1 bag on table 3, and then the way the club auctions them off. And I'm just using this as an example. They start at table 1. Well, if 100 people showed up and they brought 100, and you brought 10 items, this guy brought 6, this guy brought 2. There might be 100 items on table 1. So you, as the seller, are going to say, okay, well, the most important bag that I have, the bag I think it should go for the most bag, I'm going to put it on table 1 or 2 while the crowd's the most active. Table 1 is always bigger than 8, right? In that scenario, the way that, and I've this system. I love that system. I love the system. I hate clubs, that's a disrespect. I don't mean it in that way. I love a system where clubs at a monthly auction or at a show run a system for their auction that is balanced, that as a seller, I can decide where I want to put stuff. And as a buyer, I have the advantage where I can choose where stuff's going to go. You know what I mean? As a buyer, if something's on table one that I really, really want, I might have the opportunity of doing kind of a book bid for $1 or $2, and then I can go ahead and bid on it. They'll come up right away. I don't have a lot of time. I can't spend 6 hours there. But as a seller, if I'm bringing 10, 20 items, and I know what my top 1 or 2 are, I would like to have the advantage of where I want to place them. Because, like, say you're bringing in 6 bags of bristlenose plecos, and you got thousands of them. You're going to bring in 2 bags of your absolutely once-in-a-lifetime discus spawn, right? Just use that as the scenario. So you're bringing in 6 bags of plecos that you got hundreds of. You sell out of your car and meet people, and you sell them for $1 a piece, whatever. And you got these 2 bags of discus. Like, absolutely, I want to keep these fish, but I may as well sell some in the auction. Wouldn't it suck if you went there and all of a sudden they just drew a ticket and okay, so your 2 bags of discus, they're at the very end of the auction where everybody, 2/3 of the people left already. That sucks. That sucks to me. There's no advantage to the buyer. There's no advantage to the seller. It's basically a waiting game. You're willing to sit there all day and wait. I can get discus for $12. Okay, great. I think that's a dick move.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Here's what it is. It's the nature of an auction, right? We get caught up at the beginning. Everybody's excited. Table 1 is not where you want to put your high-end items. Because table 1, people haven't figured out where their wallets are yet. I'll badger the crap out of people at the beginning of an auction to get them going, get them started up. Table 2, 3, and 4, that's where your money is in a big auction. Because that's when people are like, it's been going for an hour already. We're into it. It's like, oh, crap, this is fast-paced. I better jump in on stuff that I want. I got my wallet ready. That's the people that want to bid. And by the time you get to like halfway through an auction, you've lost some of the crowd. And often you'll lose the biggest people. And the people you get at the end are the people that just want to buy all the garbage for $1. It is what it is. We need those people. We need those people in our clubs, right? $1 a bag is still $1 a bag, right? And like I know from a local standpoint, if a bag of fish sells for under $2 or an item in the auction sells for under $2, there's no cut to the seller. That means it's a donation. Like $2 is $2. We sell 100 items at $2. It's a win, right? We paid for the meeting hall. We're good.
Oh yeah.
So
now when
Jake,
you go to these clubs,
is telling everybody to lick the button. He wants everybody to lick. That does sound like Jason, doesn't it? He's probably at home. He's probably in his underwear or bottom line nude, and he's licking the screen right now like a weirdo.
You know Jason pretty well, don't you?
He's a great guy. We had a heart-to-heart,
yeah, he is.
an hour and a half talk on the phone. I'm not going to talk about what we talked about. It's nothing personal. Everything's good. But we talked about YouTube a lot, and we shared a lot of information with each other. And I think all of us as a community, we can help each other. Have you seen that thing, Carlos? That thing that went around about community? Have you heard about that?
No.
Community tab? Oh man, all the big YouTubers have jumped on this thing. It's I look at my feed just on Facebook, and they're all just abusing it to no end. Like there's a feed, I can't remember who it was. I could look it up and I can tell you who it is. I don't know. Apparently I've had 74 messages since we started. But I had a good friend of me last night or the day before sent me an email, and he said, watch this YouTube video. This YouTube video was by a huge channel somewhere in Europe. And it talked about this error in YouTube about how the algorithm is broken. And the only advantage is the advantage to the smaller channels. But they were talking a massive channel telling everybody in the world about this problem. All the massive channels are capitalizing. So it's probably not going to a damn difference for you or I. But that's fine. But what it is on your channel, you have a community tab. I know this is boring to everybody too, but we're doing it anyway. Just shut it. Just chill. You know, there's a community tab at the bottom. Type on the community tab, and that's basically like your Facebook homepage. You can say, hey, everybody, what's up? It's Carlos. Today we're going to be doing such and such with Biggs from Canada. That's your post. Done. And then 2 days later, you do a post and say, I did a post about, hey, everybody, do you eat fish? Yes, no, or maybe. Well, and my channel's not that big. It is what it is. But like on my post, if I put something on the community page, a picture of a spider, a picture of a fish, anything, I put a picture of my flooring, like literally a picture of my flooring of what I was doing and the changes in the Aquarist lair. I had 3 likes, 1 comment, and that's kind of the average. I did that poll exactly as per the example of that video, and I got 79 people commented on it. 70, like I went from 3 to 79, and that means that YouTube is investing a lot more resources into that one little section that they tried to release, and it did nothing because all the people are going, that's stupid. That's like Twitter. They don't care. It's like nobody cares. But because YouTube's investing so much in that one little section, it's all of a sudden gotten this massive amount of attention. So everybody's capitalizing on it now. So at the end of tonight, you should go on your community tab and say something stupid. Do something stupid that just people will respond to. Should I ever talk to a Canadian again? Yes or no? And just put it out there. And after that, as soon as it's posted, go back and comment and say, well, my guest last night was the Biggs from Canada. He was a total jerk. Everybody hated him. Here's a video, and just post one of your videos. Just post, doesn't matter which video it is, just post a random video and see what happens. You'll wake up the next day and you'll have 100-fold the amount of people have reacted to that post. But if you put a comment and a link to a video, there's a chance they might go and watch your video and subscribe to your channel. That's the whole thing. It's all garbage. It's all bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors. It is what it is. Bruno's here. Nice to see you, Bruno.
Yes, we have Bruno here. Heavy hitter in the house. How you doing?
Yep.
You guys almost missed us because we're getting to the end.
Is it bedtime?
Now, I usually just try to do an hour because, you know, people's time and the time that I start the live stream. And yes, bedtime. I do wake up super early.
I know.
But now when you travel, you know, when you travel and everything, where has been the best state you've been to in the U.S.?
Florida.
As a Canadian coming down here, which one
Florida.
was the best state you enjoyed?
Florida.
Which one?
Florida, hands down.
Don't just say that because I'm here.
No, it has nothing to do with you. Honestly,
okay.
One of my favorite cities is Chicago. I absolutely love going to Chicago, and I haven't been to Chicago in a while, but there's so many amazing people in Chicago. I love a lot of people in Chicago. I've had a great time in Chicago. I've had exceptional experiences in being treated as a speaker in places, Milwaukee. People would think, oh, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, nobody gives a shit, right? Ooh, but amazing people. I've had amazing experiences in lots of places. And the fact that I didn't mention them doesn't mean it's a shun. But Florida overall, for me, as a naturalist, as a botanist, a plant guy, a fish guy, I go to Florida and I can do whatever I want within an hour or two of each other. If I want to go diving on the reefs in the Keys, if I want to go look for obscure plants, I want to go to fish farms. Like literally, if for me, like soon as the pandemic is over, Florida is number one on my destination because I have so many things that I can accomplish really fast in Florida. I can go to Dan Sharifi's and Cichlids of the Americas. I've got an entire week's worth of content and things that we want to do when I'm there. But when I'm there, I can film random bugs on his property, fire ants, weird trees. I can do all that stuff. But literally, when I was there last, I spoke at one club. I spent 3 days with Dan Sharifi, 3 or 4 days with Sandy from Seacrest. She drove me all over the place. We went all over these places. And then at the end of the weekend, I spoke at Pasco County, and then I went, you have no idea what time I had. It was insane. I absolutely loved every minute of it. But I can't get that anywhere else other than Florida. Now, that's not a shot. I haven't been to New Orleans in years. I haven't been to Georgia. There's lots of places I haven't been. It's not a shot on anybody else. I just a lot of places I haven't been invited. But the places that I've gone to, every single year from a speaker standpoint, I always open up and say, I'm willing to go I want to go somewhere new every year. But on the same token, if I go somewhere and I have a great time, I'm always willing to go back. Always. And the problem that happens is, like Pennsylvania as an example, I spoke 11 times in Pennsylvania in 1 year. 1 year.
Okay.
Times in different spots. That's insane. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I have so many friends there. Like I can go there. Rachel O'Leary will pick me up at the airport. I'll stay with her for a couple of days. I'll go see my buddy here. I'll go see my buddy here. You know, so many friends all over the place because hey, fish people are awesome people. Every single person in this chat, you know, if I don't know you by your name, you know, if you ever come up to me and we're ever in a room together, we're at a convention together, I want you to come up to me. I want you to shake my hand. You're my friend. Like that's what it is. It's fish keeping, man. Like it's supposed to be fun. We got so much we could share with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's
now,
the
Funk
fish
wants to know hotspots.
None of them. If you're looking like to buy fish, there really isn't because they're all going to have. You live in the hot spot. You live in Florida. From North America standpoint, you guys are at the epicenter. The only other place that may have access to better stuff than maybe Miami, if you had access to go behind the doors anywhere and buy whatever you want, would be New York. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. You have some amazing. On the opposite on the West Coast, Wet Thumb Aquatics. Not Wet Thumb Aquatics, sorry. It's in Portland, Oregon. What's the name of it? Portland, Oregon. Cichlid Exchange is the wholesale side. The Wet Spot. Steve Ledlad's place.
The Wet Spot.
Yeah. Now, anything you want from overseas, they can get you. Anything you want South America wild caught, they can get you. If you can't get it in New York, Miami, or Portland, you ain't getting it, period. It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Canada, there is no shot in Canada. Not a shot in Canada. I live in Canada. But like the major epicenter for anything in Canada would be Toronto in the area or Vancouver in the area, depending on what you want to keep.
Mm-hmm. Now, two last questions. What's your opinion on hybrid fish?
It's if that's what you like, keep it. Really, to me, it's not my cup of tea. People have asked me multiple times, like I go to an ACA convention and you see these people wearing these flower horn buttons with a no, and like I'll just use this as an example, and I have no direct experience with it whatsoever. I'm not on the board. I'm nothing involved with the ACA. Honestly, right now, I'm not even a member. But if I look at an average American Cichlid Association convention, it's always held in July. It's always a well-attended event. It's always in a big, fancy hotel, and it moves around the country. So it gets a lot of different people every year, and it changes. So you get the diehards that go, no matter where it is. You get some people going, oh, if it's only 4, 5, 6 hours, I'll drive. That's where I'll go. And then you might not see it for 4 years until it comes back on their side of the country. But you go there and you'll see 300, 400 people, and they're all the diehards. And they're all like, no, they'll be divided right in half. They support hybrids or they don't. The bottom line is, go to any Facebook page that deals with flower horns, and I guarantee you they'll probably have 200,000 people on their page, 400,000 people, 500,000 people following that page. And like, it's not a matter of whether you like it or not. I don't care if Glowfish brought you into the hobby. If that is the first time you've ever you got introduced to fish was Glowfish or a hybrid or whatever it was, you walked into a pet store to buy your bag of dog food, and all of a sudden you walk into the fish department on Saturday just because you were bored, and you go like, hey, what the hell is that? That's kind of cool. That's super cool. Come check this out. And the family started all getting engaged and looking at that, and if it was Glowfish flower, it doesn't matter. Nobody's ever going to go into a pet store and go, ooh, look at this wonderful, natural-looking wild swordtail. Nobody's going to care. The nerds will, but no hobbyist, no intro hobbyist is ever going to go there and go, oh, I love with crayfish. It's never going to happen, right? But Glowfish, flower horns, You know, there's certain fish within our hobby. Not all of them are hybrid, but there's certain fish within our hobby that I call the gateway fish. They're the fish that's your first experience, and then it lures you in. You might only have one tank per year, but if you get hooked, you got 30 tanks in the basement all of a sudden, then you're good to go. Right? Do I like hybrid? No. The only thing that I have with hybrids that would really upset me is that people willingly were trying to sell hybrids without letting people know they were hybrids. That's the only time that it would really bother me personally. But if you want to keep flower horns, keep the flower horns. And the reason I brought up the ACA is the ACA for years has had this divided line about the flower horn people want to show flower horns. Well, I'm a judge of the American Cyclists Association. I'm in a big group of people that if I'm there, I'll be a judge. I can't judge a flower horn. I know nothing about a flower. It's a man-made, it's a petri dish fish, right? So there's a blood parrot or any of that stuff. I can't judge that. However, I would never be in the position where I would say they're not allowed. I would set up a show, if you're going to have a show, and have all the entries of the other stuff. And then have a flower horn category, a blood parrot category, hybrid. I don't care, no matter what it is. And then you bring in a flower horn judge from California. I don't know. I don't know. You know, bring in somebody that's qualified for judge based on their criteria. I don't know what that answer is, but let them do it. You're alienating people by not doing it. That's all you're doing. I don't care. What are they hurting?
Oh yeah.
Do you like flower horns yourself?
Yes, I do. I like hybrids. I like some hybrids and everything. Some I don't. I'm not big into the blood parrots, but I kind of got into the polar blue convicts, which is a blood parrot with a convict mixed together, and I think those are pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw them at Aquarist about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I saw them at Secret. I got a bunch of video. I've never been able to use them. I'd never even heard of them before.
You see, I like what I like. That's the way I look at things. Like some people think I'm crazy because, I like angelfish is my favorite fish of all time. Angels. Yeah. Same and then swordtails is my second favorite. So I love swordtails too. That's my second favorite fish is swordtails.
Yeah. And I love that you openly will say, this is what I like, and I like it because I like it. Period. You don't care. That's cool. To me, it drives me insane when I see on these. I'm used to back in the day with forums, but that's not really the point anymore. Like social media and stuff. People will be going like, I want to keep something rare. I've got this tank. I want to keep something rare. What do you guys suggest? Shut up. Keep what you like. Why don't you like? I don't care what it is. That's what you want. Just be responsible in what you're going to keep. Make sure that you can house what you're going to keep. Don't give me the bullshit like, I want a red-tailed cat. I got a 30-gallon tank. But in a year or two, I'll be able to get a bigger tank. No, you won't. You'll go to Kmart and you'll buy some crappy inflatable pool. But you'll throw it in there and it'll grow. But you have no plan for what happens if it punches the liner. You have a plan for that, right? You go to Ohio Fish and those people, they have several of those pools. And if the liner all of a sudden was punctured, they got thousands of spots they can put the fish, no problem. But you got all these people that all of a sudden, like, I went from a 20-gallon tank to a 55-gallon tank. My fish still growing. So I went to the store and I bought this giant inflatable pool. I'm going to put them in there. And I'm going to call myself a rescue. And they'll throw all these fish in there and stuff. Now the liner gets punctured. Oh, everything died. I wasn't really ready for that. Those people are more of a problem.
Send me some pictures. Now, your favorite guy, that's the last question for you too. Why is that convict breed with other fish so easily? At least that's how it seems to me.
I want to know. I'm going to answer that with a question. I want to know if Jason has actively tried to fertilize convict eggs himself. I want to know if he's He's using the swizzle stick sort of motion and milting on the egg to try and fertilize to create a aquafunk hybrid. He could label it. He could call it aquafunk. How's that for a way to end?
A funky convict. A funky convict.
So it'd be a convict with all sorts of dysfunctional attributes. It'd be great. It's great fish.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have hair growing and stuff. He'll yell at people.
Before we call it a night, I want to ask you if you could give one piece of advice to a new person coming into the hobby, what would it be?
That's not an easy question to answer, but it's kind of a two-part. It's a two-part thing. I would say start with what you want, start with what you can, and work with the constraints of what you've got. Meaning, if you can start, if you got a 20-gallon tank from a garage sale or Craigslist or whatever you call it, start with that. Learn the chemistry, learn the basics, learn the science. Do you know how fascinating? Like, to me, this is all my background is all in the sciences, but it really baffles me that I can talk to people that have been a 20, 30-year aquarist, and I'll say to them, they'll say, well, my nitrate level is this, my ammonia level is this, my pH is this. They have no concept beyond that test kit as to what the chemistry that's actually physically happening in their tank. They don't even know what pH means. So learn that basic chemistry and how it works with nature. I have a video, I'm segueing off a little bit in a bit, but I have a video that I'm putting out right now on, it'll be coming out shortly on isopod culture. And it's going to be rather risque in the way that most people culture isopods. It relates to science, it relates to my understanding of natural systems, and it relates to people that have kept an aquarium for a long time. You know, if you're going to go and keep these sterilized little tiny boxes with special mix and all that sort of stuff, you're dealing with an animal in the wild that breaks down environments. It's basically an animal version of a mushroom. An isopod is a detriment, breaks things down. So maybe we should inoculate it or season it like we would an aquarium, a new aquarium. We run the nitrogen cycle. We do all those basics before we add all the fish, right? Maybe we should be doing the same thing with a potted plant. Maybe we should be looking at it the same way we do with a reptile enclosure, creating it bioactive and understanding the microcosms and the little tiny activity that's happening within the soil and substrate for the plants, for the animals, whatever. Same thing with the isopod. Maybe we should be looking at that. I don't know. It's up to people to decide whether they want to or not. I can keep isopods in a brand new tub I buy at Walmart, throw the mix in it, throw a cuddle bone in, spray it down, add them, and they'll breathe. Does that mean it's ultimately the best? No. So when we get back to the thing about what do we do as the beginner, start off slow. Don't go, I got a pair of guppies, all of a sudden I had babies, all of a sudden I've got 70 tanks in the house. You're going to crash and burn. Everybody does. It's too much work. Start out small, enjoy it, learn the science, learn the basics, figure out where your passion lies, and do that. I don't know. I don't know if is that the right answer?
That's some great advice. Oh, any answer was the right answer. I just want to know what you would give as advice, but that's actually a great one.
If you're not having fun,
they should know what they're getting into.
You gotta have fun.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not having fun, there's really no.
Well, Chris, man, it's been a pleasure. I definitely got to bring you back on the live stream because I still have like 100 more questions for you. And I know everybody's going to enjoy this and really enjoy this video that we did together today. And I mean, it's great getting to pick your brain, even though you told me you didn't have that much knowledge.
I got nothing. Nothing. There's
yes, you do.
Inside of here. I go and clean my ear and it's dust. You don't even know. There you go. You got another word. No, it's been a pleasure, Carl. Honestly, it's been a pleasure. I know when I talk, I go off on these big tangents, and we only have an hour. We're at an hour and 25 now. But like anytime you want, man, if I can help you out in any way, if people got random questions, they got stuff, they can answer me through my channel. They can ask us through you, and you can send me a message. I'm here for you. My background, as I said, is mostly in the sciences. It's either fish or plants. I can take it to whatever level you want it to be, or we can talk just as hobbyists, as friends together and share the stuff together. And that's, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, my friend, you're welcome to it.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. You do have a lot of knowledge. You're just very humble. You're just very humble, Chris. I really appreciate it.
It's a Canadian thing. I'm not humble. I'm just. It is what it is. It's been
And
a pleasure.
Everybody on the live stream, thank you. Definitely been a pleasure. So everybody, thank you. Don't forget to go subscribe to his channel if you haven't subscribed. Check out my channel if you haven't subscribed. And like always, everybody have a blessed night.
Thank you, my friend.